Well, hello everybody. How are y'all? So good to see you. You just give me a second here, folks. It's been a while since
Bad and
I've
the best.
actually exactly, but it is out and it is going. I've hit all the right buttons. And so, hello, folks. Hello, Soul Tribe. Good to see you. Let me just speak favor over us all. And I'm telling you, folks, way things are going, this may be an historic show and a historic date. But anyway, you need all the favor you can get. So get it. And of course, nothing missing, nothing broken is our reality. We don't care what the rest of the straits are trying to say. We speak what we create. And so nothing missing, nothing broken. Hello, chat room, all the moderators. So good to see y'all. It is good to be back again. And, I got a couple more days what I got to do. And then get this, ladies. I got jury duty June
Oh,
10th.
Really?
Yeah, I know. So anyway, if you're here, thank you for being here. I see Mark Smith. How are you doing, Joyce? Everybody else. This is a second look with my lovely co-host, Miss Trina Phoenix. How are you doing, my dear?
I'm great. So good to be here with you guys. It's just
The
comforting.
colors are stunning.
Oh,
I just love the colors. I just want to tell
You.
you. Yeah,
It's so
that
funny. This is from 1986.
I
I've
dig
had
it.
this that long. Yeah, it's so funny. I have all this old 80s vintage clothes I would never
It's
get rid
back
of.
in style
And
now.
and then
Yeah.
make
everything's
clothes
coming back.
properly.
Yeah, my
That's when they made
daughter's like
clothes
raiding my
properly,
closet.
though.
It's all
Yeah, they made clothes
Yeah.
properly then, didn't they, with real material and whatnot,
And
not
real
just
colors. The colors
yeah,
are
yeah.
so pretty.
yeah,
So
They
vibrant.
are vibrant. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
If you
yeah,
bought
dig
that
it.
now, it would wash out in like 2 minutes
Yeah.
within.
Exactly. And
And
by
this
the
is so
way, everyone, that's Miss Jenny. We call her Jenny, but Jennifer Roberts. And love to see you, my dear, in a while. But yeah, I mean, the fashion, it goes to show you, it comes back around.
it does,
Mhm.
everything goes in cycles. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't we
Yeah.
sing that as a kid, Ring Around the Rosie, but I know that Pocket Full of Posy. I mean, it's really a morbid song when you think
It
about
is.
it.
It's so
It is. I
sad.
mean, you're
I'm
talking
like,
about
oh,
smallpox.
But
I thought it was a happy song.
And it's like, holy
It's
shit,
really good
man.
if my
I
cat
mean,
comes out.
ay, ay, ay. It tells you what we as a species, what we consider to be normal. I mean, yeah.
Right?
Or how about this one, the one that you teach children, now I lay me down to sleep, my
Pray the Lord, my soul to keep.
soul to
Yeah.
keep. If I should die before I wake, I
Or
pray the
wake, I
Lord
pray
my
the Lord,
soul
my
to
soul
take.
to take.
Now, it's
Yes.
so weird because the soul is not associated with the spirit. So what the freak happened? And that's such a weird, it's a spell, is what it is.
It
It's an
really
oath.
is.
It's an
Yeah.
It
oath.
really is.
Like
You're right, Jenny. It's an old spell. It
Oh,
is.
yeah.
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 Well, we're trying to keep it. Joyce says, Wayne, it is tied to our moving. And well, I'll never confess that, age is ever a factor, but yeah, I mean, with these bodies, yeah, it comes with that there's a contract on it. Ain't that right, Trina? I mean, you have
I
an
think so.
expiration date. Some people's are earlier, some people's are later. And
Yep.
yeah.
yeah,
And I
I
see
don't,
too, there's times in the chart where you can exit. So you have multiple times that you can exit. And I think the weirdest thing is I think on parallel realities, that other thing is existing. So like when you got the meningitis, there's probably a timeline where you actually passed away on that timeline. So
I have
I
no
see,
doubt of that. None,
yeah, I
none,
see
none.
both. I see both
Yeah.
realities existing.
Yeah.
So it's so confusing, but I do see that.
It is confusing. I mean,
Yeah.
so it's like today. So everyone out there, I don't know if you've seen the headlines that apparently it is being reported that China is now surrounding Taiwan. And this does not look to be like an exercise. This looks like it's going to be a full-scale military action against the nation of Taiwan. And I'm reading reports that they said this could be over within an hour. If it's over within an hour, then wow. I mean, so anyway, um, we also are learning that apparently there is, and we can't confirm this because, apparently different technologies, but there is saying that Russia is preparing for something, and it is rumored, and I quote, rumored, that they have moved tactical nukes into the near front lines. Um, it appears that one way or the other, ladies, we are moving into dark winter. And as we were talking prior to going live, I did a show on this a number of years ago when Joe Biden took his position. He said in a speech that we were moving into a dark winter. And that was an exercise. I showed the document of a bioterrorism event. Many people say that the pandemic was a bioweapon. If it was altered by humans, then that is the case. It is said that the next one is about to be brought forth. And if it's true, then we here in the United States, well, it'll be worldwide, is that the H1N5 avian influenza uh, virus has now made the jump. It's now jumped to humans. And if this is the case, then, who knows? So welcome to Dark Winter. If World War III, and this is the scary part of this. As I understand it, Jenny, in your part of the country, um, they're talking conscription of military men. I know Poland has agreed. Germany has agreed. France, anyway, these nations within the, I guess, European Union, um, looks like y'all are getting ready for war.
Well, I think it's a lot of politician as well, in that they've said exactly. There was a really good reel where it showed them saying exactly the same lines during the Afghanistan period. Coming out when they were coming up for election and whatnot, using it in their speeches, this conscription, and a lot of political
That's the
analysts.
draft for those in the United States,
Yeah, sorry,
military draft.
military draft. So they put it out there. Now the Conservative Party, which I think would be like your Republican Party,
Mm-hmm. Pretty much,
the,
yeah.
the equivalent of, they are putting it out there. Now their voters, for the main part, have always been the older ratio of the population. So this was a popular way of them getting, because their voting turnout is like it's never been before. It's at such a low. The people who voted for them all of their lives, generationally, or just not. And so they're really trying to poke that bear to, get these lazy children doing nothing, no jobs, conscripted, and, then they can learn values. So they're really putting that over their headlines. So they're using it for a bit of both. One, because I think, yes, the physical army here is so depleted in physical numbers, I mean. Technical capabilities, I think, were pretty good, but physical numbers were terrible. People have not been
Well,
signing.
the only reason why you have a draft is you're going to be putting the unfortunately, the young generation out on a battlefield.
It's harvest. It's a harvest.
I was just going to say, in my notes here, some have said that this is, parallel to the whole depopulation
Yeah.
scenario. Wars do
Yeah.
that. I mean, you
Yeah, they do.
take the virility of a generation away, so you then have this gap.
Hmm.
There's no more. And, here in the United States, we are so censored in the news out of Ukraine. They're because they can't risk the American public becoming aware of what a disaster this whole thing that we've
In
spent
year.
nearly a $500 billion on with no
Mm-hmm.
accountability.
Yeah,
And
it's the same here. They're just sort of mentioning Ukraine and quickly coming off the subject. Whereas before it was like full details, 24/7 headlines. But now it's just, and we're thinking about the Ukrainian people, and then it's quickly off, into the
yeah. And we got
finance.
Trump to do that here. I mean, Trump is providing
Yeah,
the perfect distraction,
distraction. Yeah.
because the news media, I mean, I swear the news media, whether you're the far left or far right, I mean, they're having orgasms over Trump. And it's from both sides. And I'm going like, if y'all just stop talking about it, this would really become a non-story.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's just,
so the other part of me goes, well, then why are they creating such a fringe? Why? Because we don't hear what's going on. I mean, most of Americans are probably not even grasping what's happening. They're coming out with apparently the Biden administration. This is apparently they think that this is just another one of the Chinese drill, but it doesn't look to be that way at all. So.
yeah. We've had a lot of hacks as well, more than they're letting on. But like
Oh, us
now
too.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
a big bank here. Barclays was down last week. The pharmacies, a big chain of pharmacies, Boots was down.
There was a number
Some
of them that paid the ransomware in that.
yeah, so
Yeah.
there's
United
been
Health here, one of the largest insurance companies, they paid the ransom.
wow. And you see, so there's a lot of opportunist hacking, but there's also a lot of targeted hacking going on. And I think that's part of how they can say this can be over in an hour with Taiwan, because they can hold the world to ransom by
Oh,
saying,
sure,
we'll switch
absolutely.
your chips off. We'll switch your chips off. If you interfere with us going into Taiwan, we'll switch your chips off. None
And
of you
that's a
ever.
big problem for us, Jenny, here
Yeah.
in the United States, because those chips are in our military systems. They're in our
They're
defense
swapped out.
system.
Yeah,
Ours
they are
too.
swapping them out.
It's like, well, why did you allow that to begin with? And I did not. Southern Prepper One. Really enjoy what he was bringing out.
Mhm.
Apparently, all this high technology equipment that the United States military has been spending apparently
Your
doesn't
money.
work. Yeah,
Mm.
it has failed miserably. In some cases, less than a 10% accuracy.
And
Wow.
did you know that happened with quite a big marine ship? I don't know the right terminology for it, but it was all over the
Aircraft
news.
carrier?
Yeah, like a big, major, supposed to be the bee's knees of naval whatever it is, and whatever it does. And the last three times we've tried it, it's completely failed. Like completely failed. Well, they can't get it to work. They can't get it to synchronize, or they can't get it to. They're not telling us exactly what, but it just isn't working. And that's like billions on this one thing that nobody can actually get to work. So it's a lot of money laundering and harvesting going on with war before we've even gotten to the front line, isn't it?
Well, apparently,
Um,
Blinken had to tell Zelensky to stop buying these houses and these yachts and what have you. And of course, you're going. So we got the Secretary of State going over there and saying, "Hey, dude, would you just cool it and buying all the shit, man? Because everyone's looking." Yeah, it's like,
you're bringing
Yeah.
attention. It's
it's
like a
like,
drug dealer does not drive around in a
it's
nice
like,
car.
yeah, okay, sure, And did you
Yeah.
see the story? Because all of this is intertwined. So last week, Ben Davidson brought out an article, and it was a scientific white paper that showed negative emotion directly affects the magnetic field. It actually helps deplete
Yes.
it, weaken it.
Yes, it sure does. And
Whereas
that's
positive
our
energy
power.
Yes.
actually helps strengthen it.
Which is
Yes.
why I think we have the headlines about the weather. I've said it for years on my channel that I haven't been on for the longest time. But you know that the weather, they're deliberately trying to make people, and yes, there's changes, of course there is, nobody's denying that, but they're deliberately trying to people to be fear-fueled about the weather. And since that agenda started, the sun has changed. People have seen differences in the way that the skin reacts to the sun. I don't see how people cannot see we're so intrinsically linked as one to everything, even cellulose in a leaf, while having an individual experience. And I think that individual experience hinders the human being so much, because that takes away the knowing of the power of your intent of sunny days, sunny days, sunny days, and a sunny day coming. It brings you into a symbiosis with your environment, rather than you feeling like you've just been plonked on top of it and whatever is happening is outside of you. I reckon the weather is inside of you too. The ancestors were no
Yeah.
fools when they did rain dances, you know. We know that.
We've
They
had
knew.
some, I can tell you, and I just saw the stat on this. We've had a very active spring across the United States. And I know on Sunday here in my area, I think there was 8 confirmed tornadoes that touched down.
Wow.
And I can tell you, it's been the whole spring. It's just been very violent thunderstorms, hailstorms. I mean, one part of us south of us had hail coming in at the size of tennis balls.
Now, how
That's the
is it
kind
that
that.
we've been having the same spring? We've had hailstones. I've had rain today, sun hat on, glasses off, glasses on, coat on. Literally, Wayne, it's my birthday on the 25th, just gone. I was
So
always
you
in
just
the
had a
sun.
birthday on the
Happy
25th. Is
birthday,
well, happy
Jenny.
Yeah.
birthday. I mean, see, you can't
Thank
do that. You
Happy
got
you.
to let us
birthday.
know. Did y'all know
Sorry,
that?
sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm fine with it. No, but I forget half the time myself. My mum reminded me it was my birthday the day next day. So, um, but the weather was always hot. Mum could always have a big barbecue for me, you know, as a kid, and not have to clean up the house from all the kids. She could have us outside playing on mine and Grant's and her birthdays. I'm the 25th, she's the 29th, Grant's the 31st. So we're like one after
Mhm.
the other. And so we could have all of these barbecues always. Never, and the last few years, we have had this weird May where it's just, we've literally every weather that you described, even down to the really heavy winds, just coming in from nowhere. And then hailstones, and then bright sunshine again. Literally, you have not known how to dress any day this spring at all. You've had to go in layers, you know. So
Yep.
how is that?
My opinion, and it's just my opinion, is that the models that they use currently are flawed. And I believe that this is a direct result of the ongoing magnetic pole shift.
Mm,
I believe that our weather is more connected to the magnetism of the earth with the interaction of the sun. When you have those two dynamics that come in, and when you have a planet, which we have seen virtually every planet in the solar system is now being impacted. We know that Uranus turned on its side. We're seeing other planets that are showing the same thing of a magnetic pole shift. We're in it. And
Yep.
the governments of the country do not report this because it's
no,
best to keep the public dumb and then attribute a political agenda, which the green agenda is. I mean, the most asinine thing, and I'll just say it out there for the world to hear this, speaking the obvious. How in the hell can you have electric vehicles when you have an adequate power grid that is out of date by 50 years that can't handle it? And so you're going to put more stress. And then these asinine idiots come in and say, well, we got to shut down coal and we got to shut down natural gas. You fucking fools. So now
And
you
you
cut
know,
off the ability to be able to expand the electrical grid, and
yes.
now you're causing it to have a catastrophic failure. And then finally, if the sun does in fact pop off an X21 flare at us, our system is toast.
Yep.
Hmm.
Hell of a green agenda, isn't it?
And
Right.
that's it.
And that's the
We
thing.
are,
They know.
Dark summer, folks. Dark
Yeah,
summer.
they know what's coming naturally. And I think they're amplifying it. Like they're using it to harvest, to get rid of as many as possible. So that's what I see. It's like
Well, I've just
this.
watched a couple of movies playing this scenario of one was done by an attack on the United States where they exploited a nuclear device at about 50 miles up. And if they do that, then you can target countries for this. Then you're under an EMP. Nothing works.
Yeah.
mhm,
And the scenario of these movies shows what happens to society, and particularly our culture today, our civilization. We depend on electricity.
mhm.
Everything is electric. And when
Yeah.
that goes down, that's when the shit hits the fan. Martial
Hmm.
law.
Hmm.
And
Well, it seems like,
it's a lie as well about it. There's nothing green about it. How can like the tithe to the church? Okay, God wants another new roof. Okay, so God needs money to manifest the roof when we know we
And he's
can
God,
draw
right?
from
He's
the
God,
universe, and we've got like a mayor in London who has managed to expand it out nationwide, which means it's government backed on both sides of these ULEZ where you get charged for going into this zone because somehow your pollution costs more, and somehow that mayor is going to feed that money into the nature, to replenish nature because nature claims a tax for how much pollution you're creating today. And it's asinine. It's crazy that people can't see
It's
that.
carbon credits, isn't it? Isn't that what it's called? You have
Yeah.
carbon credits and yeah, I mean, and so this gets into another scenario. Everything we're talking about is just, I see it here. You've got, unfortunately, you have what are called the far right, which are traditionally conservative in nature and Christian. Excuse me, they see this as the opportunity for God to come in and bring forth judgment and vengeance upon the human population because the human population has moved away from God, the Christian God, and therefore he is going to smack us down. And this is why you have the prophecies of the book of Revelation that we're now in the tribulation. Joe Biden is the Antichrist of the progenitor of the Antichrist through his policies that have basically weakened the world.
And of
Donald
course, that's,
Trump is the modern day savior.
yeah.
Classic setup.
And they're putting him on a cross. They're literally crucifying him on a public cross right now, in
You
front
make
of
a
everybody.
martyr out of him.
A martyr, yeah. And it is a script that keeps getting repeated. But because it works, it's because that religion, that hijack of religion, and a few controlling that religion and all the different sects of it, it's such an ingrained story in our DNA now too that they don't even have to work very hard on these scripts with some types of consciousness because that script is just so unquestionable to them that they accept it and accept it and accept it without question or without reflection because
He's,
it's given to them all their
yeah.
lives. It's in there. It feels they resonate with it because it's what they've been taught the
So
whole time.
let me inject this because you see, I don't think we're that stupid. Maybe we are as a species, Homo sapiens. And so what if, and I'm not alone on this, there was actually recently there was a movie that was based upon what we have found out about these ETs, these aliens. And what has been found out is that they are our gods. They are the God of the current time. These beings are perceived as God. We really can't understand them. But one thing is very clear. It appears for all intents and purposes that they are the ones who have been in control from the very beginning. They are the ones that, in essence, we are the sixth civilization. We are the sixth experiment. And that experiment is different than apparently the fifth version or the fifth culture civilization. And these gods, these beings, they are the controllers. They're the ones that write the script. And
And
we
those are the
can't.
people that are here taking instructions from them, but we're implementing it. I see the
And
transition of
exactly,
everything
because we're
again.
susceptible to that. You have
Yeah.
humans that will sell out their fellow human if it
Yeah,
means that they don't have to suffer.
And look at the
yeah,
word alien. A-lean. You've been leaned. Who put a lien on you? You're lean. The aliens put a lien on you. It's a property. It's saying you owe me. There's a lien on you. This is from the aliens. Alien. It's a lien. A lien. I'm bonding you. So there's claiming ownership over I think the genetics, and they're claiming ownership over something that is not theirs. I see it from such a bigger place. It's like, when is humanity going to wake up to the fact that all of this is only because we're allowing it?
yeah. Because if you see what Trina's just said there, again, as above, so below, as within, so without, we see those same patents being put
Yeah.
by certain people who hold gates, so to speak, on such DNA altering pharmaceuticals, let's say, so we know there are, so as above, so below, everything's reflected in that what happened before we see playing out here in the physical reality in a delay in the patents that you can go and look up now that are regarding certain patented DNA altering substances or drugs or pharmaceuticals or whatever they might be. But so again, it really is reflected as above, so below.
Well,
If
you know
we
who brought that out in the modern in Christianity was Marcion. He brought this out. He was branded a heretic, was excommunicated from the church, but he
Yep.
was the one that brought out dualism. And it was a belief system that has been crushed by modern Christendom. But the belief is this, is that the reason why the Bible is a fiction is that it tries to blend or to join two different gods. Markan believed that the God of the Old Testament is of a certain species,
Yeah.
and that the
Yeah.
God of the New Testament was brought in by this one person called Jesus Christ. He serves a different God than the God of the Old Testament.
You know what I see there too, Wayne? I see that the Yahweh God was a physical God. Like, there were beings that represented these kings. These they were physical, and they could have been supernatural. When we look at Egypt and all of the different faces and beings and the big people and the little people, I think that there was a physical representation of the gods on earth. But I see that the other ones, it's from the aliens. It's a different God.
I think they're all alien.
I do too,
If
actually. Yeah.
um,
I think we
it's
are
kind of
aliens.
in a
I
certain
think
I don't
sense.
think we can't get out of the soup that we've been forged
Well,
out
you
of.
think
So
about the
yeah.
manipulation of us in this movie that I was watching. It was so interesting was the fact that these beings, they don't have a soul, and
Yes.
that what makes them. We are we're an oddity because they have done this before. They have created species throughout the cosmos. This is what they do. This and they're so far above us we can't even comprehend. But the fact is, we know through the modern human genome that they have manipulated our lifespan and our intelligence.
mhm. Don't
We
tell him.
apparently, the first civilization was a very advanced civilization, and we became a threat. and they have continually to experiment upon us. Now, the question is, well, and it was the question by the individual who was talking about this was saying, we don't know if they control what we would call the death realm. It
Yes, they
seems
do.
that their technology is that based upon these are government reports, what the government has learned is that they have the technology that is the ability to capture the essence of us.
I think that's been around for thousands of years, and it's been
Maybe,
used for
maybe
thousands
from,
of years.
or maybe for eternity.
Always, probably, yeah. I know that they can capture the soul. I know that they can. I know. I absolutely know. I've seen it. I've seen it in my visions. I know that
And
this is
apparently you
possible.
can't
And
escape.
who
But
has? Tell me one that
it
has. That's where
that's the
I ask
question.
that a lot, Wayne. I'm like, who has?
Who
Who's gotten
has?
through? Yeah, I'm like, who is there
Yeah.
anybody that knows if anybody got out of the construct? I would love that. I ask that question all the time, Wayne. I really do. I'm like, is there anybody who has actually gotten out?
By the way,
And
Ryder and I will be on next Wednesday, and then we're going to be doing a two-part show. The second part will be in him dealing with this. The Vatican has come out, by the way, with this manifesto document talking about the supernatural, the paranormal.
Yeah.
And number one, it's an admission that it exists, but they take the position that they are the ones to control it.
It's just like the Holy See.
Like,
Every
okay. The
single
Holy
live birth.
Seas. Now, isn't that how? Because that's
Yes.
Sees.
Yes, and the
The
Holy
Holy
See,
Seas.
right. And then they are bonding you. They are the ones who are
The hell
bonding you,
yeah, they're
and they're
bonding you.
working, right. They're working with the other higher intelligences on the planet and off planet. So, and they have
I
the
had their shit
contract with
tattooed
them
on my
over
ass,
us.
figuratively,
Right.
not literally,
Right.
but figuratively. I
Right.
mean, and
So
that's how
yeah,
it was. I was a born again, spirit filled Christian, you know.
that's
And God's hand was upon me, and I was His voice piece.
yes.
Lord of God.
If that ain't channeling, I don't know what is not. I mean, it is like,
Right. It
yeah,
is.
it's
Yeah, it's
freaking
I
weird.
think a high level of channeling, to be honest with you. Not low
Jeez.
level. That's high level shit right there.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
And these creatures, these we've all seen them. Apparently those who are sensitive, because it's odd because there is a group of humans that have this sensitivity. We call it empaths, we call it intuitives, whatever. But
I've
we
got
represent, what's that, Jenny?
got something on that because that irked me a bit because we know that we've got those innate abilities and some are skilled in more than others and vice versa. But I saw something about that where they were warning about this condition, another label, another condition that people were having. Now, to me, it's a little bit more convoluted than that and double meaning than that, in that I feel the frequencies changing and the spheres, the glass ceilings getting thinner regarding certain vision spectrums. I think basically that you know how you can take a picture in a haunted house and you can pick up on an entity maybe in that picture, and at first it can look really ghoulish and but you have to ground yourself and say, what was I feeling in that moment? And the camera's actually picked up more of a skeletal looking figure rather than the woman that was standing in front of you, just because of the spectrums of light and the way it was being captured, it was coming through. I think I think we are shifting with these poles, and I think it's making a big difference to levels of sight and spectrums of sight. And I just really think we shouldn't quickly jump on the bandwagon to everybody that they show us that looks like a horrid, ghoulish alien because they were caught at this angle in this crowd. That they are that. It may be that you or I could be picked up like that if we are in a certain line of of frequencies and spectrums, and depending on what we are captured by. So that story, I've been watching that, and I'm being a bit careful of the jumping on that, of that,
Did
all
you see
these
the
being.
story in Las Vegas here, Jenny? I don't
No.
know if it hit you. Well, I guess it was a couple of months ago. It was a house, a family. They called 911 and they have it. It's all on tape. You can go actually watch this. Anyway, they told the 911 operator that they had saw a ship and aliens were in their backyard. And these aliens
Yep.
were 8 to 10 feet tall.
Yep.
So they sent a unit out, and subsequently, at the very moment that they were saying that this ship that they saw, they captured it on police body cam, and there were 21 other people that verified the same thing. So when the police came in to walk into the backyard, the family that saw them walked in and saw them. And here's the interesting, in fact, it was the news story today. They've actually captured two entities. It appears that they're using cloaked technology, and
Yeah.
they appear to be 8 to 10 feet tall.
Wow.
Well, this kind of goes into this whole thing then. Um, what if, and I say this because I'm becoming more convinced. I said to this last week, or it was a week before last, our sight has been deliberately limited. If we were
Yes.
able to see the full, even the heat spectrum.
Yeah. Anything other
Yeah.
than just the
Yeah.
little bit we see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's to
And
do with the
because,
brain. That's not to do with the eyes. It's actually the eyes are the portal, the conveyor, but actually eyesight problems are all stemmed in brain imbalances, or brain dysfunction. The problem, the eyesight is a symptom of something in the brain, either not being balanced, nutritional
No,
value, not.
no, no. You know what I keep hearing? It's funny you brought this up. I keep forgetting to mention this, but I keep hearing this. We have governors put on our brain, restrictors. How do we get them
Yeah.
out? How do we
So
stop those governors? Because they're in there.
So if
Yeah.
frequencies would lift them, so if with the frequencies changing, you see, I don't think it's that sight is changing, but spectrum sight is changing, because certain neuropaths and neurons are being woken up again, or like you say, the gate's being taken off because there's a frequency that's hit, and that could happen in the opposite too, which I believe it's been happening in
Yes.
the opposite. But where these poles are shifting and these frequencies are sneaking through, there's certain things waking back up again. Why? Because they've just been prodded back to life again and given a jolt, like you would give a heart a jolt.
well,
So,
Mhm.
it's interesting. You think about eyesight, we're actually seeing everything inverted
mhm.
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
if I was to take
Upside
that, what it's
down.
saying is that I'm actually living in reality in an upside down, inverse reality,
That's
but
why that's
our
that's
eyes
to
don't
me,
perceive that. The brain says, no, 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 I'll fill it in for you.
that's my confirmation that this is a projection. Because the only way to get that effect is through a camera. The only way that you can do that is through mirrors and lenses. So this is a projection from your own
Someone
you.
said in the comment a couple of weeks ago that there was, and I forget which one it was. I don't know if it was a Pentax or it was a P1000, that this camera, the way it was made and the way that the lenses were positioned, actually allowed you to see what reality really was or
I've
is.
seen that and it freaks me out when I've seen that
Yeah.
too. And I've seen people that know how to use crystal balls under mirrors. And when they look in the sky, they're seeing a full track system. There's full mechanical apparatuses above us that we can't see, but through this reversing and the concave and the rounded mirrors, you can see through the dimensions. You can see through the layers that you can't see with your visible spectrum. So there is something to this, Wayne, something very interesting
Yeah,
to
because
this.
you have a
But
concave and a convex.
yes, and
And
it breaks
that
something. And
is really weird because, and you know who I really loved about that was Dr. Albers. You know, she
yeah,
had a
yeah.
wonderful take on how this affects what we have been
What we
told
see.
is, this is what you're supposed to see. You're not
Correct.
Yeah.
supposed to have imaginary friends. People
Right.
don't talk to you from the other side. That's not normal.
Right.
And
Or they
That's
label
a
you
sin.
schizophrenic.
That was a sin, yeah. Or you got locked up in an asylum,
Yeah.
you
yeah,
know.
you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you were
Yeah.
guilty and shamed as being a witch and burned and whatnot. But the same thing happens just in a more modern way now. And that's where there's the bravery to still speak up and still question in these times, is the real war, is the real fight. It's because when things can be programmed unquestionably and projected unquestionably, is when, bad people get to do bad things, without question and with the funding of the peoples. But that dome shape, the concave and I keep saying that as you're talking, and those toys that children get, and the
The
shape just like
kaleidoscopes.
up an eye, not kaleidoscopes that where you push it down, you push the concave down, and all of a sudden it'll bounce up. It's just literally looks like the front of a contact lens, and it's rubber, and you press it down, and then all of a sudden the pressure builds up and it bounces up, and it
Huh.
looks just like a contact lens, but it's a toy. There's literally, it feels like, because that is one of the strongest shapes, even though it's the most malleable shape, to have that. Yeah, and that's where I feel that shape is important, to stay malleable in what you're being shown, what you're being told, what you're seeing, and get used to flipping it upside down and bouncing it around the room before you come to any conclusions, because it really feels like the show, the projection, is gonna go into full force
It's
now.
the Truman Show.
Like, yeah,
That's what it
Totally.
is. It's totally the Truman
100%.
Show. I mean,
Totally.
today, the fact that we have AI now, which has taken over us. I mean, AI is now writing scripts, it's writing songs, it's doing legal briefs, and this is an unseen consciousness that we call artificial intelligence that has taken over. And we think it's great because, again, we are creatures that seek pleasure. We seek to avoid pain, discomfort, any of these things, and this is what pushes us to be who and what we are. I mean, that's why you have the rich. Well, what makes a person rich is the fact that they have the ability to have more leisure time without having to work or having to suffer. And that's very desirable. You want to know why? Because that's how they live.
Right.
mhm.
They're in the skies. I'm telling you, folks, I
Anything,
know it sounds crazy, but
anything.
our skies are filled with armadas and we call them ships, but they're not ships. It's where these things, this is where they exist.
I saw
Organism.
two last week over my house. I mean, I'm
Well,
not
yes, you
kidding.
did. I saw
I
that video that you sent
I'm
me.
like,
Yeah.
and it's always the same place. And I think there's a portal or something, because that time I saw all of the ones come out of the portal and disappear at the other end. This is the same area. I keep seeing all this really weird activity, and it's been going on since I've
Well,
lived
Dr.
here, like
Travis
all the
Taylor,
time.
who I've been following for years, I love the fact that, he is one of the top astrophysicists out on the Skinwalker Ranch series that's out there. Now, years ago, I had the owners of the ranch that was near there and what they're experiencing, and they experienced these time portals where, in one case, if y'all remember, John said that, there was actually Roman soldiers that
Yeah.
came on his property.
Yep.
And this is what they're finding out now at Skinwalker Ranch, is that we're now finding out that these portals do exist. And apparently they can be manipulated and controlled.
Mhm.
Yeah. Just like the mind can be manipulated and controlled. All of
Bingo.
these
They
tunnels.
think it's like, well, am I on a trip here? You know?
Yeah. I see that these
It's like,
tunnels are literally going through neural pathways of a bigger mind because I see us as sitting in a bigger body. Like you're a cell within a universal construct of a body. It's a body because it's all in its own intelligence. So like the God of what I see of this world would be that body. And I don't think it's the only body. I think there's billions of bodies because creation is, I think, beyond our comprehension. So if we're inside of this body and it has a certain mental construct and we are part of that mental construct, that's how we have a collective consciousness because we're sharing the mind of this conscious being that
that's what
we are actually living in.
Howard Terrence was talking about, and it's like when your DNA begins to resonate in this, I think you're literally in becoming in touch with these portals. I think they exist all around. It's just that we're not in tune. And when you get
Yes.
in tune to these things, we would call them, I just got a download. I just had this
Yeah.
thought come to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you
I
think,
think that's what it is.
yeah,
I do too.
and
It's,
if you think about the birds literally singing to the morning and then to the evening, they're helping. That blows my mind when I hear my birds in the garden singing in the morning at 5 o'clock and knowing they just know that innate draw to do that because they're actually opening up the cellulose for the dew to come on the leaves. Now, all of the insects and birds then drink and nourish
Well, let me
themselves.
tell you about insects, Jenny. I've got a
Oh, you
billion
have a
cicadas out
nightmare.
there that I'll tell you
Copper.
what.
Put copper everywhere. Copper and quartz. They'll fly the other way or crawl the other way.
They're no,
Um,
and it's like freaking living in a Stephen King or F. Paul Wilson novel. You know, they're
yeah.
these things are flying around and they'll get in your back and then they start to go, and you know, and
Oh,
it's just this fucking weird sound. And the thing about it is, if you listen to this, now they will actually come and go. You can tell when there's bad weather coming in because their volume goes to become almost decreased. But it because I'm out there working in the yard. It's weird because it has this buzzing effect in your head. I mean,
mhm.
this intense
it's coding the
vibration.
planet. It's coding the
Yeah, it's
planet. These
weird.
sounds code our planet. So it's interesting that they've come out now. It's very
Oh,
interesting that
it's
they've come out
crazy,
now.
man.
Yeah.
Oh, and their
So
beady little red eyes. I mean, I talk to them when they land. You know, I ask them, "How's your reality?" And it's like, I swear, off they fly away. It's like, okay, because they're living beings. I mean, because
Of
yeah,
course, and they're
yeah.
important. I mean, wasps are important, and um, everything's got its place. It doesn't mean I'm comfortable with everything in my space, and I'm probably be the same as you with other
Bingo,
things.
bingo.
Uh, but you know, everything's got its place and it's welcome to it, just not having it in my space. But yeah, the nature, the frequencies, that buzzing, it's important as well for you to look at that, I think, and use that as a meditation tool. To be able to push past a discomfort or just an annoyance like that, where you still have to keep some level of awareness, but also let go. I experiment that way with the ants around my house. I just try and focus with them and just push them back. Just stay in your lane and I'll stay in mine. And then nobody needs to use a pesticide. It's very simple, you know, and you can connect with them. But if you put people with bees, they're finding people who have ADHD that they're really struggling to stay balanced with. Bipolar, I think, was another one. They're putting them in tents with bees, not in the tent with them, but surrounding that inner tent. And the buzzing of the bees, the honey bees, rewrites, it's remapping the brain, and they're feeling at first a sense of
Jenny, have
panic.
you ever been where there are cicadas?
No, no, you can probably tell the way I'm talking because I could
I was going to
probably.
say, you know, you have to experience to truly understand the
it's almost
Maybe I would
cacophony.
come out
unbearable,
with the
Jenny.
garden torch. I think I'd come out with the blowtorch, you know, the garden torch. I would come out and welcome them.
I mean,
It's
there,
too big though. It's everywhere and it's
Is
so
it?
loud. I mean, you can barely get over your own thoughts sometimes.
How
It's so
big are
loud.
they?
Brian sent me a
we're talking
videotape.
millions of
Yeah,
square
Okay, send
well,
me a videotape and I'll challenge
I
myself
have
to
it
try.
on the channel here. Go to my
yeah.
shorts.
So
Okay.
loud, so loud.
And
Brian
now
sent me a
there
video
is
too.
another brood that is emerging. And they have a different pitch. Because I've been out there, Jenny. I do listen to
That's
them.
what I was saying. They sound
And yeah,
different.
you can hear it. And I brought my wife out and I said, "Do you hear that?" Because their pitch is
Yeah,
like it's 5 octaves higher
better.
than the
Yes,
normal cicada. Yeah, it's
No,
weird.
they're the same
Yeah.
species. Same
Hey,
yes.
species
David
of
Barry, much love to you,
Yeah,
brother.
Barry.
ah,
Saw your
Hi,
video on your
David.
walkabout.
I love you, Mary. Thank you. Mm,
David Barry is in the house. I'll tell you
love
they
what.
did
David.
very.
But Jenny, go and do on the shorts on
I'll go
my
and look,
channel,
yeah.
and
Because
you'll
I've
see
heard you
it.
mention them before. I have heard you mention them here and there, and I've never really. I thought they were like crickets. Are they like
Oh no,
crickets?
no, I have to. I could go out there. In fact, if you want, I know because they're weird.
Jenny, do you know what a locust is?
Yeah, yeah,
It's a
yeah.
locust. It's the locust. That's what it
No,
is. A
I would
cicada
have
is a
the throat
locust.
coach ready, and I would say, "Look, I don't want to kill anybody, but this
Yes,
is my space. This is my
right.
orange field on
They
fire."
and then when they land on you, I mean, and they have their thorax, it'll vibrate. Zing! That's what it sounds like. And of
And
course,
do
Yeah.
they bite? Can they
huh?
bite? Do they
No,
bite?
they do not bite. No, no,
Oh,
no. They're
I'll have to be
completely
thought of.
harmless,
Yep.
except you just got
The
trillions,
noise. Yeah.
trillions of them,
I
and they
never
last for like 6 or 7 weeks. And when they die, they will
Done.
bury themselves up to 8 feet in the ground, waiting for the next 13,
Watch.
17 cycle.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I quickly
It's
bring up
profound.
the hermit card?
Peg says no, they're not locusts. I don't know what they are. Cicadas should be the tendonitis on I don't know
That's what
what they
my
are.
closest association for Jenny to tell her what a cicada is
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna
closest to
look
me
at
is
the
a locust.
shorts. Yeah,
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 Yeah.
and I would agree with it because and Jenny, it's seriously if I have this, I have my riding mower and it's freaking. It's like I have to wear this B-net hat because they're flying
whacking you,
everywhere.
Yeah.
slapping
Yeah.
you upside the head.
They do.
I've
Anyway,
got this.
it's just a freaky thing.
I'm gonna look at those shorts because I have heard you and Trina mention them here and there, and you just don't ask
Yeah,
what's that?
yeah. And
Yeah,
it
I'm
wouldn't,
gonna.
and mark my word, someone's going to say we should eat these things. Certain dogs like them.
John and the Baptist, remember he was said to have lived off of
Yeah,
locust and honey. That's what
yeah,
he was
yeah,
eating.
yeah.
So yeah, let's eat the bugs
Well, there was
again. It's
plenty of
no.
them, wasn't there? The Bible loves the
Hey,
locusts, so there was
Regina, good to see you, dear.
plenty of them. But
Yeah.
Blazing said we used to call cicada locusts when we were kids. Yeah, because they have
Yeah.
the same kind of look. Or
honestly,
I did
it's
say in
it's their
in
beady little
Arizona.
orange eyes. You're looking at them and they're looking back at you, and you realize that I thought of you, Trina, not as the locust, but the fact that their eyes are like these fractals. They're like these
Yes.
thousands of freaking fractals, and it's like
Yeah.
it's like, what
Yeah.
does your
Yeah.
reality look like? Because it doesn't look like mine, but we share the same.
might
I don't
sound like a
know.
silly question, but do you think they perceive solids, that how everything has a different spectrum of sight, and with you saying those fractals, and with you saying that they're a bit dumb in the way that they whack you upside the head and whatnot, do you think, looking at their behavior, that they don't see things as solid as we do? Like they can't perceive them to be as solid? Do they seem to fly into things a lot? No.
There's
Or is
just
it
Well,
so
just so
many
many of
of
them,
them.
you're just gonna
yeah,
You,
hit
it's
one
just
of them
you
regardless?
yeah.
Just so
yeah,
I
many.
it
I don't know.
it's so weird because I happen to be a real fan of F. Paul Wilson, his book Night World. And in the book Night World, these creatures emerge from this pit and they have the buzzing sound. And when they land on you, their bite is like acid in any way. So, you could see this thing going out there as you're walking because we got forest out and they're just freaking everywhere. Lynn won't go outside. When she went to the store, there was one on the parking lot, and it tried to fly up the pan of her legs, and and she said, if it had done that, she'd have been dancing out there, because
Oh,
yeah,
Yeah, I'd have been
yeah.
stripping out there.
Uh,
right.
Rocky
I
went
would
out
think I'd
and
have
sniffed at
been
one, and it grabbed his nose, and the dog freaked out. I mean,
They got like
just
Velcro
freaked,
feet. Somebody said that in chat. They have
just.
like Velcro. I'm like, they do. They
What are these things? Like,
like
talk
these.
about
I mean,
aliens. Oh, there's aliens in the sky. No, we're just
he's
looking at
shaking his
photos.
nose and he's sneezing and he's
Oh,
the poor
Oh,
dog was
poor baby.
traumatized by it.
Poor
That's all I
Rocky.
can say. It's just nuts, but hey, it's the experience, right? With the chaos of the world, we get this chaos of these bugs that emerge, like decades. Anyway.
and I also think the
Wow.
frequency of our hustlers.
Bonnie said she saw a video of a helicopter dropping bugs on a black
See,
festival for real.
I was just about to say there as well. Bugs seem to be, again, there's the story of the plague, that keeps coming back conveniently every time power might be taken over. Somebody might be overthrown, a plague conveniently happens, just like war. And the way that the insects are right now, I'm noticing where I am, the bees are needing a lot of help. I'm having to put a little bit of sugary water out for them, a lot more to give them that zap. Whereas the lower vibration ones like the flies, the blue bottles, they are thriving. Now, I know there's physical reasons for that, like rubbish and things like that, but where I am, it's pretty good. There's no buildup of things like that. I'm sure as well that the houses and the new frequencies that the houses are setting off with the new frequencies that we're hooking into are attracting different insects too, because a lot of people in the UK seem to be having invasions of insects or other things that they never used to have as much. There was an exterminator on a interview channel or a news channel months ago, and he was saying his business has never, it's a generational business that he's done. His father did it and then he did it. He's never seen business so good. Like, you can't book him up for a year because of the smaller insects like the bed bugs, the fly, the blue bottles, the infestation bugs, that in spaces where people live, usually. And he's like seen a spike in his business of where he never believed he would be so successful, just carrying on his father's business, being an exterminator. And so he's booked up solid,
Well,
because
they
they're
have
in that.
weaponized bugs. I mean, I got bit by a tick, in the 90s, got me Lyme disease. We know that they have genetically modified mosquitoes down in Florida and other
Mhm.
areas. And so, you begin to think about this and, the thing with the Lyme disease, I mean, that came from, Plum Island, then you drop ticks into an area and let, the humans disperse them around. And yeah. And
Yeah.
if you're genetically modifying something, that just can't turn out good. I don't care what anyone says, that's a bad thing.
It's bad magic. Don't
You
do it.
don't
It's
do
bad
that,
magic. When
Jeez.
you're doing a magic spell and you're figuring out all of the different ways that those toys could bounce off the wall and cause a ricochet effect, it's not the first thing you think of. Let's weaponize things that can get everywhere microscopically, and let's just
Yeah, let's
see
see what
what
happens.
happens.
That I
Let's
think it was
see if it
Nina I saw where
happens.
she was saying if you cast a love spell, that's actually a very evil thing to do because
It
if it
is.
and it we don't think about, they don't teach you that
The only love spell you should ever do is
for
self-love.
yourself.
That'll bring
Yes.
in the love that you ironically want, from
Yeah.
someone else.
Yes.
It'll reflect in and draw in that's the only kind of love spell work I'll ever do with anybody is self-love. because I know if I can do that, then whatever they go forward to put intent towards or attract in, it's going to resonate with a whole being, them, rather
Yeah.
than you can't put control over
It's
you
a
must.
bad thing.
Yeah,
Don't do
yeah.
it. It's like a schizophrenic. If a schizophrenic wants to commit suicide, isn't that a hostage situation?
Mhm.
I would think so.
No, I've
Do you
said
get
so
it? It's
before.
actually a joke.
I
No,
think
I
that's
A
true, though. I get
schizophrenic
it.
decides to commit suicide. It's a hostage. Yeah, you get
Yeah, I get it.
it.
I get it. I
I
see
still don't
the
take it back. I've
potential for
said
that
that
to be
before,
true.
though.
It's true though.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
well, wow, this hour is like come and gone. Anyway, welcome to the dark summer.
Mm.
And what about the volcano there in is it in Italy? The big caldera one that's now rumbling and apparently the magma chamber is filling
Mount
up and
Etna? Is it
no,
Etna?
it's not that.
Okay.
Is it Farici Fuji
Oh, okay. I can't
it
say it
starts
either. Yeah, I
yeah,
can't say
yeah.
it
Have
either.
you
I know
seen
what you're
the
talking about.
black dot blob over the island Bouvier? I think you pronounce it Bouvier. I'll
What is
send you a
that
link.
one?
It's an island called Bouvier that people have been watching for quite a while, and it's setting off some weird frequencies and a very strange black mist. Um, it's really strange. I'll have to. I'll send you it while we're on. When we come off the live, I'll look it up so you, because I'll forget if I
Mhm.
don't. And then you can look into it. It's really interesting. It's an island they don't like mentioning. A lot of great people have been researching it, and it's another anomaly that we need to be looking at that I think is more to do with the pole shift and them
I do too.
utilizing some of the energy coming. I think they're harvesting the natural energy coming from this island for what I do not know yet,
You
but they're
know,
definitely in it.
we see a lot of UFOs going into the volcanoes. So there must be
Mhm.
something to that. I think you're onto something with that. I
Yeah,
don't know what that
yeah,
is, but I just see
and
the
it's the
correlation.
elements. I see the correlation in Iran as well. They're so desperate to get in Iran. And I know it's because of those elements that I picked up on about 5 years ago. Susie, you probably remember better than me, the cloning planes, the ability to clone planes with this sort of magnetic dust, that they have there in the ground. It's all about minerals that can be used and utilized and harvested right now. It really is. And we've got to put our intent away from this mining mentality, and put it into flow collectively for people. I pulled out the Hermit card just to say to people it is the number 9. And yes, they might be prophesying and saying over you, welcome to dark summer, welcome to dark winter. Well, wherever it's dark, there's enlightenment. And we don't actually find enlightenment in the light because it's
Correct.
too bright. You can't see anything, it blinds you. And so
Correct.
the hermit card spoke to me at the start. So I just want to give that to people. He's the hermit. He's the silent warrior. He holds a lantern up and he holds a staff for stability on very rocky ground. And that's the rocky inner ground of you, but it's also the number 9, the absolute infinite aspect of you that can always be duplicated, reflected upon, divided and duplicated and brought back to the 9 again. And so there's a lot of magic in being in the dark. So where somebody's trying to cast you into darkness, that that's for the birds. That's for that's not for you. Put yourself into that darkness, cocoon yourself into that darkness, find the darkest corners of you, because if you can accept the darkest corners of you, and as I say, this warrior just stands there holding space and time for observation and reflection, no judgment. Nobody can hold them over you, which means they can't hold the headline spells over you either. Or so at least you're limiting what can be done by these people projecting onto you day in, day out. Think the hermit. Elderberry hates the hermit. It really is. Or the hangman, it might be the
I hate
hangman.
that damn hermit, it's like
He's always
son
like,
of a
oh, the
bitch.
hermit again, or the hangman. Which one, elderberry?
All right,
So that's
ladies.
very
This
helpful.
is thank you. It's I always enjoy it. You
Me too.
yeah.
Me too. Yeah.
Y'all, speaking favor over you, speaking favor over this wonderful chat room. I see so many people. Bridget, Rex, there's Gilbert, brother. How you doing? Mary Wins, Elderberry, Lost in Space. So many of you. So thank you. Ladies, I know favor manifest in my life because I'm with y'all every Tuesday.
That's
I
how I
mean,
feel.
that's all I gotta say.
Positive. Me too.
I'm like,
Just,
I can handle it all if I've got you all. That's right.
it's like walking on sunshine, baby. That's
Mhm.
all I got to say.
Mhm.
Hey, the tan is starting to really to show up too,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, it
yeah,
is. Yeah.
Make
yeah.
sure you're swapping arms, otherwise you'll have one of those trucker's arms when you're on your ride on. Or can you have both arms out at the same time? I've got one on tandem a little bit
I was
more than
just
the
saying,
other. Why not?
I'll probably go with the truckers. I think we call that a no, a redneck tan, but yeah.
Redneck tan.
I
Farmer's
love
tan.
Jenny. I love you, Jenny, and Jenny, you too.
Mhm.
Laughter too at the heart is a good medicine. That's
It
all I
does.
got to say.
Yes,
And
it
only
does.
warriors can laugh in the face of war.
Yeah.
If you can, only warriors, spiritual G's, only they are the grannies that can laugh in the face of war. And you look at those babushkas. I was looking into that recently. In Russia, and there's this. I was saying to Mum because sorry, the show's ended, but I've been given some of the plants some of my urine because I wanted to check out that I know I need something from those plants. I'm just basically giving them a reading like you would in a hospital, a dipstick test. So basically I'm saying this is what I am. Tell me what you need. And I really feel that I'm unlocking other things in the stinging nettle that I need, and it's worked because it's read the urine. And then I was telling Mum about it, and she was like, "That's like the babushkas." And I said,
Yeah.
"Babushkas? That's like a nickname in our family." And I didn't realize it was a Russian thing. And she's like, "They're the old grannies in Russia that just refuse to leave, too old to leave, love their land. They should have been dead." Years ago, after, because everything's radiated, everybody else has died from them, but they've continued to live off the land. Things like dandelions and stuff there. I would love to test those dandelions because I swear those dandelions have changed to what those women need now that their DNA has been damaged, that we know it has by the radiation. But these plants have sustained them, literally foraging from the ground that's been radiated. Nature has adapted and has been an adaptogen for these old babushkas because they just trusted the land, and it keeps giving to them, and no one else can live there, no one else wants to, but there they are holding space and time, just in their quiet dark space, actually probably breaking through some of the biggest biological studies ever, that if they weigh on the plant will change to what they need. And so that's a good one to do too. Go weighing. We
Okay.
should weigh outside.
Thank you, Jenny. That's
Yeah.
Mhm.
beautiful. I love that. All right, ladies, until next week, thank you,
Mhm.
everyone. Be good. And as Mary Wynn said, nature won along with love. I'd agree with that. All
Yeah.
right. All right. Bye bye.